for us, we are 100% focused on generational wealth, not in the sense of finance. Generational wealth as in being our faith, and that being the foundation of that generational wealth, and that being something that we pass down, number one, and then everything else falls underneath that. Faith, family, finance, in that order, right? Even if we lose finance, like that's like money comes and goes. Even if money goes to zero, if our family's generational wealth is faith and then the importance of family, we're winning.
Hi, I'm Leah Barr. Welcome to A Better Way for Doing Good, the Foundation X podcast. Here we sit down with change makers, innovators, and dreamers who are building a better way for philanthropy and social impact.
Just a quick note before we get started, the ideas we share here are for general information only. Nothing you hear should be taken as tax, legal, or investment advice, and for guidance on your own situation, we always recommend talking to a qualified professional.
Welcome back to A Better Way, the Foundation X podcast. I'm here with Anthony Tolliver.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're actually in your home. So here is where you live, which is great. I'm really excited for this conversation. I think we didn't prep you the most on what's about to happen, so I'll kind of give you the runway here. One of the things we like to do is read our guests' bios to them. I think it's a good reflective moment to understand where you've been, what life has looked like for you, and then we will jump into some table topic cards to get started.
Let's do it.
Anthony Tolliver spent over a decade in the NBA building a career defined by persistence, adaptability, and a willingness to evolve. Entering the league in 2007 and playing across 11 teams, his journey required more than performance. It required learning how to navigate change in real time. But Anthony's story didn't stop when his playing career did. Since transitioning out of professional basketball, he has expanded his focus into business, investing, and most importantly, philanthropy, building a life centered not just on success, but on purpose. At the center of this work is the Tolliver Family Foundation, which reflects a deeply personal and intentional approach to impact. For Anthony, philanthropy isn't something separate from life, it's something integrated into it. Alongside his wife and their 4 children, he is actively shaping what it looks like to live generously and to evolve the next generation in that work from an early age. Today, Anthony's story is one of evolution, of redefining success, aligning values with action, and building a legacy that lasts far beyond the game. Anthony, so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. So we'll jump into these generosity cards to start. Like I said, this is totally off the cuff, so you answer however feels right. But I'll pull one for you and I'll read it to you and you go from there.
Let's do it.
Do you typically think you have more than you need, less than you need, or exactly what you need?
I think that there are stages of each of those on a regular basis because, more than enough. I mean, I could never imagine growing up being in a position that we're in financially, health. I mean, literally everything that I could ever imagine we've been able to do. Then other days, it's like, man, like there's so many things that I want to do, that require more, right? Then those days I feel like, okay, I need to go work. I need to go do this and do that. And so that we can go accomplish these goals and help more people and do more things and these things like that. But I would say I try to stay in a position of a contentment, which, in those moments where I believe we're right where I'm supposed to be and I have everything I need and everything I want from a standpoint of right where we need to be.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's like a political answer.
All of the above.
But literally there's stages of all 3 of those. Typically if there's a mindset of lack, it's not because of lack of need for myself or my family. It's lack of resources to be able to help more people and do more like in those arenas. So that would be the situations where maybe every once in a while I feel like there's a lack.
Yeah. It's one of the hardest questions, I think, in the box. So you got lucky with that draw, but I think it's exactly right. There's moments where we probably feel like there's so much more we could do. And if we had more resources, how could we, make change or make an impact? But yeah, it's a great answer. Thank you. I'd love to start at the beginning. We heard in your bio, of course, basketball has been a huge part of your life. Take me to the early years. What drew you to the sport?
It's a good question. Man, I remember being in kindergarten watching Michael Jordan, watching, all the greats playing in the NBA on NBC. It was something that just drew my attention from a very, very young age. Literally, since I've had memories, basketball has been a huge, huge part of my life. And so I went to sign up for basketball in kindergarten, and we were 2 days too late for the registration.
Oh,
And I
no.
thought my life was over
Yeah.
because I was meant to play basketball. Like, how did we miss the deadline, Mom?
It's always mom.
Basketball was not the first sport I played organized. I actually played baseball first. Quickly realized that was way too boring for me, way too slow, not enough action. What it did, it actually made me really, really hungry to play basketball because I didn't get a chance to play the first time I wanted to. And so it just kind of set me up for a kind of a constant mindset of work. I just knew from the very beginning, you know what? If I'm going to play basketball, I got to work hard. And, so no one ever had to tell me to work. No one ever had to tell me to go shoot or go play. It was just something that, from the very beginning, I knew I wanted to do. And so, growing up, I had a bunch of friends who also were into basketball, very similar kind of mindset where they just wanted to maximize it. And so I was very blessed to have 3, 4, 5 guys who were all, I would say, obsessed with the game and obsessed with getting better. And so we just push each other every day. Now all those guys are my business partners pretty much.
That's great.
And we do life together still. But yeah, it was just very blessed and fortunate to have phenomenal people that also help develop me.
That's great. Yeah, a little forged in the fire there, I'm sure, amongst all of you. At what point did you say to yourself, like, there's a professional path here for me?
I mean, that was the plan and the goal from the beginning. I mean, I literally remember being 5 years old, making like my first jump shot on a 10-foot goal, thinking I'm going to play in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like there's never been a moment in my life that I can remember where NBA wasn't on the radar. And it was like, yeah, money was definitely a part of it, but it was like, I just want to play at the highest level. Like, and I feel like I can get there. And that was the mindset. And so, growing up, it never was, yeah, it just never was anything different. When I played football to get tougher for basketball. When I did track, I wanted to get faster for basketball. When I did baseball for those few years, it was because I didn't have anything else to do during that season. But yeah, hand-eye coordination, like there's just everything I did growing up was because I wanted to get better at basketball. So literally from the beginning, there was no not a time frame in my life where basketball wasn't very much so a huge part of the plan.
And as you're thinking about your basketball career at a really young age before it took off, what did you expect it to look like? What were you telling yourself back then?
I said, well, worst case scenario, if I can get my college paid for through the game, then that would be great. And best case scenario is I can make money playing basketball. What does that look like? NBA? Great. But I was like, the chances are probably pretty slim just because that's what the numbers say. The chances of making it from high school to college, it just kind of funnels down, and then college to professional funnels down. Then the level of NBA funnels down to like a very, very small group of people. I think even to today, there's only been about 5,000 NBA players in the history of the NBA. And so that's a pretty elite company, right? And so, my mindset was just maximize it. That was it. Like it was maximize this game, utilize it to help better my family. If, obviously, and that included if I got a college scholarship out of it, that helps better my future family, right? Because I get a college scholarship and then also better my current family, my mom and dad and stuff like that. It was like we couldn't really afford college, so just putting them in a better position too, to where they don't have debt that they have to pay, or I guess me futurely in the future would have to pay. So that was the mindset. Maximize it, see what I could get out of it. And, I think I did a decent job.
Yeah, pretty decent. I really like that, just like framing, because it feels like you were kind of on this path of destiny. Like it was meant to be for you regardless, but no path is beautiful and paved in gold. I'm curious if there's moments in that journey in those early years, high school, college, where you felt like maybe you had to rethink the sport or rethink your pathway if some things happened for you.
Yeah, I mean, there were several moments of doubt. Going back to elementary, I was pretty tall, right? So I had an advantage in a lot of ways. And when I hit middle school, everybody else hit puberty and I didn't. And so everybody else all of a sudden was taller than me or as tall as me. So I no longer had an advantage. So I wasn't very good. I had to like really rethink my AAU team. I was no longer playing because I just wasn't good. I wasn't as good as the other guys who were playing in front of me. And so I had to like say, okay, is this for me? Like, or do I just keep working? Do I like I had to make a decision kind of in the middle school years of I'm not going to quit because I almost quit my AAU team because I wasn't playing or traveling, doing all this stuff. I was like, well, why am I doing all this? I'm not even playing. Let me go to a different team. And so it was almost the portal before the portal. But I decided to tough it out. I was like, you know what? I'm not a quitter. My mom also was like, you're not a quitter. Like she really encouraged me, just like stick it out, keep playing, keep working. And I'm glad I did because it worked out great because we were the best, group in the area. And so even training with them in practice every single day, like ultimately it helped develop me at the level I ended up getting to. So definitely was a time frame there where I just wasn't sure if I wanted to do it anymore, at least with that team. I knew I wanted to play, but maybe not with that team. And then moving to high school, I didn't make varsity until my junior year. And so same kind of deal where it's like my first couple of years, I'm like, my other teammates were on varsity and I'm the only one or one of the only ones that was kind of stuck behind. I'm like, what the heck, but it was just like, I feel like it was God preparing me for the path I was going to take to be a role player and, being a role player through high school, being a role player through college. I mean, I didn't know it actually was annoying to me because I was like, I want to be the best. I want to be the number one option, but I never was. And once, kind of going through college, my first 2 years in college was not cakewalk. It was really hard. Freshman year didn't play hardly at all. Sophomore year just didn't go very well. And so I was like, I don't even know if I belong here. Like I maybe should, you know, transfer or go somewhere else, go home kind of the same thing. I'm not a quitter. I keep going. I'm gonna keep working and see what happens. And sure enough, it ended up working out the next couple of years and, just getting better and better. There was crossword roads kind of at every stage of my career. And those just ended up becoming crossroads of, do I quit or do I keep working? And every time I chose to keep working and every time it worked out.
I really like this framing of like your journey prepared you for what your career looks like in the NBA and the position you were going to be put in as a player. As you went through that, I'm sure there was just some like reframing you had to do for yourself, a little bit of kind of mentally maneuvering through that. What did your definition of success ultimately start to change to? Obviously, at first it was just making the most of it, maximizing the opportunity, but as you started to see that pathway materialize, did success and that definition shift for you?
Yeah, I mean, success is a weird word because a lot of people define it much differently. Most people, I would say, success is money, success is jobs, certain accomplishments and stuff like that. For me, that was a portion of success, but success for me was maximizing me. I mean, it really was. It became about, I don't know what my destiny is going to be. No one knows. No one knows what the future is going to hold. But if I work my tail off and I just absolute maximize the opportunity that basketball brings, it's like I'll have no regrets. And for me, like that became the catalyst of what success was. It was just maximizing the opportunity that I had. And, once I got a foot in the door in the NBA, it was like, okay, now I know I'm good enough to be in the NBA. Then it became success becomes how long can I stay? Right. Like success was not touching it because touching it was a goal. Touching it was it was an accomplishment. Once I was in the NBA, there was no taking it away because I'm in the NBA. But once I realized like getting in is hard, staying in is really hard because you have all the people coming for you every single year. There's a new batch. not only the drafted, but the undrafted. I was undrafted, right? So it was like I took somebody else's spot. And so then it became, okay, I'm being hunted.
They're coming for me.
So success was every single contract that I got a chance to sign, that was success, right? I didn't care where it was. I didn't care for if it was 1 year, if it was minimum. If I get a chance to sign a contract and secure another year in this league, I've already succeeded. One deal is the lottery, right? And I got a chance to sign like 8 or 9, contracts over the course of my career. So it was, I would say that's kind of how it shifted over time. It was, hey, maximize opportunity, that's success, whatever that looked like. And then once I did, get my foot in the door, success became, now I'm going to just see how long I can hold off these young guys. see how long I
Keep
can hold
both
off.
feet
Right.
firmly planted.
How long can I keep my feet here without getting knocked out of here?
Yeah.
And so, 13 years later, it was finally time.
It's pretty epic.
Yeah.
And during your MBA career, you're not just playing in the MBA, you're starting to dabble in business adventures, investing. Tell me about that. Obviously, you're dedicated to your craft and trying to be the best player you can be to remain firmly planted in the league. But you start to shift a little bit of your perspective and what you're working on. And what was that like for you? How did that come to be?
I probably used the word maximize 15 times already. I was undrafted. There was no promises. No one owed me anything. And so every single time I received a check, every single time I received compensation to play basketball, my mindset was like, I got to put it to work. I have to get this money working for me. I have to acquire assets. We have to do something because this could be it. Right. That was my mindset from day one. This could be it. I don't know. I could bust my knee tomorrow. Career could be over. I could tear my Achilles. Career could be over. The phone could just stop ringing. Career could be over. So I need to have something to show for it whenever it's all said and done. I tried to educate myself as much as possible in different arenas and real estate and different venture arenas and stuff like that. And I just started diving in. And so that was from year one. Year one, I started buying real estate properties. And then year two, bought some more real estate properties. Year three, started doing some venture investing. Year four, started doing some private equity investing. Started some of my own businesses and partnered with different people. Year 4 or 5, and just every year just started adding to it and planting seeds, because that's what I kind of envisioned it as. Every time I cut a check into this company, I'm planting a seed. And so just planting seeds along the way so that in the future, hopefully some of them would harvest. And that was kind of the entire mindset. And so it was just, but consistency, right? As I got checks, I invested. As I got checks, I invested. And, that was my mindset the entire time. So then 14 years later, I look back and I was like, holy moly, like I have this nice portfolio, real estate, got multiple businesses I've invested in, I think, I don't even know, 30 to 40 different private investments that we've done over the years, and another probably 8 to 10 businesses that have been created in different capacities, in different arenas, and different industries. And I'm like, holy moly. Like the only thing that I probably regret is that I didn't invest in more cash flowing things,
Sure.
So once I was done, I was
helpful.
like, it's like cash flow, not as much, but
Yeah.
great assets. It's great. But that was the mindset. It was just be consistent with it because of that. The same mindset I took of I'm going to work my tail off and maximize this situation. Basketball wise, it was the same thing on the finance side. It was just, hey, I'm just going to try to maximize this opportunity. If I get $1 million this year, we're only going to live off of X. We're going to give Y, and the rest is going to go into asset building and building up businesses and doing things so that post-career, we're good. Yeah. And that was kind of the thought process. Yeah. There's a lot more years after our careers are over than there are while where the careers are going. So at least that's the hope, right? Like you're hoping that there's, at least double, hopefully double the amount of years of where you end. So it's like, I better figure some stuff out because I got a long ways to go before this is all said and done. So yeah, just always kind of been a future thinker in that way.
Yeah, and you mentioned living off of X and giving Y, and we're definitely going to get into the giving Y, but live off of X at the same time you're building a family. Tell me about your family. Tell me about where you met your wife and that journey into becoming a husband and a father, all while you're building a business and playing in the NBA.
Yeah, it was complicated.
It's never easy.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work on Jessica, a lot of work on me, a lot of work on the kids. Everybody had to sacrifice in order for at the beginning stages of my career. The beginning, middle, and end. Guess with all of them, but I met Jessica at Creighton. Actually, we had our very first college class together. It was the freshman orientation type of class. That's where we originally met, but there was no sparks at that point. It was just like, cool, Jessica,
Just
Anthony,
trying to
cool,
figure out college.
But we do have a picture. I remember seeing a picture of us hugging in that class our freshman year. So we had some sort of
I was going to say,
relationship.
there's a little spark there.
Yeah, like we were hugging and there was a picture of it. There's proof of us showing some affection towards each other. But, kind of long story short, moved forward the next couple years, ran into her, here and there on campus, I'm sure, whatever. She worked at the front desk of the building I stayed in my sophomore year. But at one point or another, I definitely forgot her name. So we ended up meeting at a party. We always tell the story because it's pretty funny. We met at a party. It was at the cheerleaders' home. Like there's a bunch of them that lived in one home. And it was a party, but not like a rager. It's just like everybody's hanging out. Long story short, she walks in to this party and I'm on a blow up mattress in the middle of the living room with 6 cheerleaders on it. She was like, typical, typical athlete behavior, right? But for me, I'm like, these are my friends. Like we're just not thinking anything of it. It's like, hey, we're just watching a show right now. Like, come hang out, like everybody. But anyways, for whatever reason, I decided to go talk to her and we exchanged numbers and start hanging out, and the rest was history. So ended up, getting married in 2011. Had Isaiah in 2013, and then we had Lennox in 2015, and then Elijah in 2017. And then Zyara in 2019.
Yeah.
And so odd number years, and we wanted to have babies in all of them. And so now we have 4 kids, 13, 10, 9, and 6. And they are taking up a lot of energy, effort, and all the things, and but wouldn't have it any other way. They're just a joy to be able to parent them and be in a position to where neither one of us have to, work a 9 to 5 and, take up a ton of time. So we can be very flexible. And Jessica went on a field trip yesterday with Lennox. I went on a field trip with Zyara. Me and Jess both went on a field trip with Zyara in her class. So like being able to do all these things, it's just amazing. But it all goes back to even some of the decisions that were being made while I was playing, to invest and do different things like that allows us the freedom to do that. And so it's been an awesome journey with them. And I just, forever grateful for Jessica for the support that she showed during those years where we're moving every 6 months. Right. And she was in charge of the move because I had to practice and then I had to go do this and I had to travel here and do all these different things. So like the sacrifice is not just one way. It's not just me working hard. It's absolutely on the significant others a ton. So
yeah, true lifestyle shift of like how you maneuver and who takes on what and when. One of the things I know to be true about the both of you, of course, is faith and family continue to be strong values for you. When did impact and generating an impact together start to become something the two of you talked about?
It's pretty core to what we've discussed from the beginning. Before we even started having kids, just being first and foremost in impacting their lives, right? So it's if we're ever out here in the world impacting everybody else and we're neglecting our kids, we've got it backwards. So for us, it was kind of first and foremost, let's make sure that us individually are focused on our faith, and then us together are focused on our faith, and then kind of after that we focus on our family, focus on getting them established in their faith, right? And helping them along in their journey, in their faith journey. And then after kind of like priority wise, it's like, okay, now let's go make impact. because priorities are now taken care of. Like those things that's the foundation. And it's like that faith is now going to influence the giving, the generosity. That's the model. That's our model, at least, right? Like my personal faith comes first. Then your personal faith comes first for you. Then our collective faith comes second, right? And then us with our kids, kind of building in their faith comes third, and then impact, because then now we can have the impact be influenced by our faith.
Right. And when those things are set and they're working well, you can just naturally kind of cadence in the rest, which is.
Yes. I mean, it's, the influence of the faith being like the foundation, because now if we do it a different way, let's just say we neglect the faith and we just say, let's just go straight to generosity. Not to say that you can't have generosity without faith.
Right.
You can. But for us, we are 100% focused on generational wealth, not in the sense of finance. Generational wealth as in being our faith, and that being the foundation of that generational wealth, and that being something that we, pass down, number one, and then everything else falls underneath that. And so like that's kind of the reason why our mindsets are always focused on faith, family, finance, in that order, right?
Yeah.
Even if we lose finance, like that's like money comes and goes. Like, we've seen generational wealth disappear, finance, generational wealth. But for us, it's like, even if money goes to zero, if our family's generational wealth is faith and then the importance of family, we're winning.
Yeah.
And the finance just becomes a tool that can be used to do other things, right? Like whatever, to make more impact or whatever. But, we're just really, really focused on that faith and family.
Yeah. We've talked a lot in previous episodes just about how like impact can be so subjective, but as long as it's aligned with who we are, our values, the things that we put forth, then that's the driving force in how we enact change. So I've always loved that about the both of you, is you're so strong footed in that faith and that family value. And then everything that cascades from there is kind of a bonus. But that framing for impact has always just kept things really clear, because you know exactly what the top 2-3 priorities are, which is phenomenal. I've had the wonderful privilege of being on the journey with you all since 2021. But I'd love if you don't mind sharing a little bit more about what the impetus for the foundation was in the lead up to developing it as a family.
Generational wealth. So being an entrepreneur, being someone who is constantly, having a growth mindset and business ventures, ideas, opportunities, different things like that. I'm a firm believer that God puts these things in place and puts these things in my brain for a reason. It's to be used. For us, though, before, I would always kind of think, at some point, our family might be worth $100 million or more. If we continue to do things and add value and create value in different ways, like, we're going to make a lot of money over the years, because it's just how it works, right? But there was no real reason for us to be worth $100 million or more or whatever. I'm like, if we had $100 million today, we'd probably live in the same house. We might get some new patio furniture or something. You know what I'm saying? Like it might be
Couple things here and there.
some little things here and there, but nothing that we couldn't even do now, right? Like there's nothing that would really change. So then it became, why in the heck would we why would we have $100 million? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like it doesn't change anything in our lives. It was something that I felt God really revealed to me. I think it was through a sermon that I was listening to. And it was just really talking about just generosity and talking about the ability to build the kingdom. And I was like, okay, well, that makes a lot more sense than that. Creating a finish line. So like, what is our finish line? What does it look like for the Tolliver family to have that stability, to have that like, hey, rainy day, to be in a position of where crap hits the fan, like, you guys good? Like, whatever, like, what does that look like? And, accomplish the goals you want to accomplish financially, and go on vacation and do this and do that and pay for college, like all of it. Like, what does it all look like? What's the finish line? And so we were able to, working with our advisors and stuff, be able to pretty much create that. Like, hey, like net worth doesn't really matter. It doesn't. like, it's like, well, what does your cash flow look like? What does your, liquid portfolio look like? And those things. So we just shifted our mindset to like kind of like, all right, let's get to this finish line. Let's create a finish line. And then it's like outside of that and beyond that, like as we build that, what is this money for? That's where the foundation came in. And it's like along the way, it's not like we're not going to have opportunities to give to the foundation and to be able to build the foundation. But it was more so if we have these large wins and we have, ability to make massive impact, it's like, well, why go sit that in a bank account and do, have it earn interest? It's like, no, let's put it in the foundation. Let's build this foundation out. And then as we are, exiting this planet, we don't want to just give our kids just a crazy ton of money with no parameters or anything like that. But what we do want to do is give our kids the ability to make impact with the funds that we're able to build out in the foundation. So that's kind of the mindset behind it was, hey, like we're going to have opportunity to make a lot of money over the next however many years. And once we reach our finish lines, then it's like, really the mindset is just pour it in and build up the foundation as much as possible with the mindset of that's how much more impact we can have is by building that up. And it just makes it really easy for us as people of faith. We say, especially once we reach our finish line, it's like, man, if a big deal happens, like, no, well, we know exactly where it's going. We know exactly the mindset of what, like, it's not to increase our lifestyle, it's to increase impact and increase the kingdom. And that's really it. So it honestly, it's freeing and it's simplification of our life because it allows us to have like parameters. Once we reach those parameters, then it's just like pour it in and make as much impact as we can while we're here. And not just then, hopefully, even after we're gone, it's multiple the generational wealth. Like I started off with, it's like that's our version of it. Faith, family, and the foundation really becomes like the third layer of generational wealth.
Yeah, I love that answer, especially because it's so reminiscent of the question we pulled from you. Is like, do you have more than you need, less than you need, exactly what you need? And it sounds like from a needs perspective, you guys have exactly what you need. And then everything on top of that is bonus and it's impact. And it's how can we further our community and the people we care about and our faith to really make a difference. And this generational wealth component of the foundation, I love this concept because I think for so long people think generational wealth is like, what can I hand my kids, right? Like what is available to them from a financial perspective. But we are watching your kids like partake in what wealth looks like right now. Like we're watching them engage in how they can build their own wealth as they engage in the foundation. And I think it's been a no-brainer from the very start of like how we have them involved, which has been really fun to kind of see that grow in its fifth year now as the foundation has been established. As you look back on some of those moments, the first 5 years, and you think about involving your children and your family, do you have any of those like milestone moments that stick out for you?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know what year it was. I guess maybe 2.5 years ago or so. It was around Christmas time when my kids and their cousins, right after Christmas, right after receiving all these gifts, they came to us and said, we want to raise money for a water well. I was like, what? Like, that's not even a conversation that we remotely have in the house. And of course, they've participated in some of the fundraiser events with World Serve and, different things like that. But it was never like, oh, you guys need to like get involved or like encourage them. They're like, no, we want to raise money for a water well. I was like, that's like $50,000. Like, yeah. I was like, sweet, let's do it. I was like, let's just take the next year and see if we can do it. Let's just put together some plans. We started working with you and the team to put together some initiatives. And that was a really cool moment. And then when we did it was another really cool moment. And then along the way, of course, there's moments throughout that year where we're actively doing an activity that's raising money or whatever that I'm just like, man, like I'm so proud of these kids. Like it's just such a cool thing to see them. They're not sitting here complaining. They're working and they're selling lemonade and they're packing boxes and they're, when we did our 3.8 mile walk, right? They were worn out after that walk, right? And I was like, guess what? You know what they have to do? Throughout that whole walk, we were talking about the journey. Like, we are like, can you imagine having to do this every morning? And I think that some of those types of things really brought it to life for them of like, oh my gosh, like what is, us doing some of these things to raise money. If this is something we can help prevent, some of these women to have to do, it's like, it would be worth it. But like getting them to do it and realize, hey, what's crazy is now you'd have to get a bucket, fill it with water, put it on your head, and then do the 3.8 miles back.
Yeah.
So can you imagine that? And they're like, no, never, So I'm like, this is a daily journey for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Just being able to do some of those activities with them and have them participate in all these different ways was just an amazing blessing. But then once we reached the threshold and all that stuff, just being able to see them excited about, getting it done and stuff. So then another milestone is definitely going to be this summer.
Yeah.
Whenever we get a chance to go to at least one of the wells, maybe two of them, and be able to see them in person and then be able to like realize, holy moly, like all the time and effort and energy that we put in is what produced this. Our initiative produced this for these hundreds of people or these thousands of people. I think that is going to be super impactful for them to know that you can make intentional decisions here in the United States and impact thousands of lives across the world just with some intentionality and generosity.
Yeah. I think it's just like the coolest thing ever, truly, that they not only came up with the idea themselves, they went through the process of doing the initiatives and asking their friends and family and being more involved. But now you really get the chance to literally fly across the globe and see these things firsthand. I can't think of like a better story as it comes to impact and being involved and this concept of like starting where you are and using those moments to give back. But as I'm sitting here watching you tell me this story and we tie it all the way back to like your beginning, it's so reminiscent of what you're sharing of being like 5 years old and knowing that you had to do the work. You said yourself, like, no one told me I had to go shoot. No one told me I had to go put the work in. And then now, as we're talking about your children, like no one told them they had to give back. No one told them they had to put the work in. No one told them that they had to walk 3.8 miles. We gave them the framework to do that. But to hear you talk about your journey and then to see it reflected in your kids' impact journey is just, it's a really cool moment for me as I'm kind of sitting here like hearing this all together for the first time. I can't imagine what it's like for you just to kind of like have that reflective moment.
It's really cool. It's really cool. Me and Jess say all the time, we have really, really cool kids. Like it's just, they're rambunctious and they're fun and they're energetic and they're all the things, but they're just genuinely just good kids and they ultimately have really good hearts. And so we're ultimately, all the other stuff doesn't really matter. Like it doesn't. Like talk about once again, faith and family and, just being a good human. So we're just seeing that throughout their actions and the fruit of what they're producing is it's very prevalent. Like we can see it. Like we're already starting to see like our youngest son jokingly at dinner. I was like, last night I was like, he's probably going to run the foundation.
Someone has to.
Because he's just so darn generous. Like he just has a heart of generosity. All of our kids are generous. But his is like another level, right? And he just wants to give. He wants to help people. He wants to see people succeed. He wants to see other people like thrive. And that generous heart is what's needed in the world, right? Like we just need more people that are like that. And so, yeah, we're just super excited to be able to give our kids the responsibility and the opportunity to give. Once we created this whole structure, Tolliver Family Foundation, with more understanding of like the why, I got so much more motivated and so much more excited about the future of being successful, like doing deals and all. I'm like, man, like I can't wait to build the foundation up to $100 million, right? Like That'd be amazing. Why? Because I know that it's going to be a massively impactful foundation. And so it reinvigorated, that same mindset I had going into basketball. It's like, man, I'm going to use this and maximize this and build this platform and do what I can for my family. It's like the same thing here. And the foundation has kind of become that catalyst of like, oh man, the impact that we can make with this foundation, in the kingdom and just in humanity in general is awesome.
Yeah. That's the thing I love about it is it's exactly reminiscent of your journey of like, let's give you this platform, let's give you this thing to maximize. And I think the foundation, like I said, is only on year 5 of that journey. I can't wait to see what the next 5 and subsequent 5 look like. But we started that platform for you to be able to use and maximize and grow and maneuver, not only for you, but for your family. It's just been really fun to watch that come to life. And all of your kids are experiencing moments where they're showing up a little bit differently than their peers. I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you to tell me about your youngest going to kindergarten and her $100 exercise that her teacher put her through.
Yeah, that was another really cool moment because they're just pure, like they're going to tell you what is on their mind. They're honest, sometimes brutally honest. I get flamed all the time for my baldness and for being old and all these different things. So like they don't have a filter. But whenever things like that happen where I believe the teacher asked, if you received $100, what would you do with it? And I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was to the tune of, if I had $100, I would find like people to help with that $100 in some way, shape. I couldn't remember if she said to water wells or I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was like, I would use that $100 to help people. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Like, and she at that point was only, 5, I guess, whatever. And I'm like, yes, like it's working. It's like we're not telling our kids, we're not just saying words, we're doing the work. And so as they are seeing the work be done, we're hoping and praying that it becomes a part of like, this is what we do. Like, this is what the Tollivers do. We're generous, we're givers, we're servers. Like, we serve people. We serve people outside of ourselves. We serve people that can't do anything for us. That's just what we do. And we're just hoping that is something that, translates over. And, little things like that definitely give us a lot of encouragement to see our kids have moments of that type of clarity or that type of generosity when it comes to that. But for that answer, for her, the first thing that popped into her head was generosity, to like think of others, not like, oh, I'm going to go save it or I'm going to go invest it. I mean, those things are not bad, but to say I'm going to give it, it's just really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so cool for me to see. I'm so glad you told the story because I think it is one of those moments where, on paper, it seems pretty simple. Just a short exercise that probably took the class no more than 10 minutes. But when you look at her answer, you see how profound it really is and how much of what you're doing, this like values based giving and really being intentional in how you generate impact as a family, it's manifesting. I mean, she could have answered that however she wanted to, and you're right, like her natural instinct was to go straight to generosity. I would just love for you to help anyone who might be in this moment of like really trying to understand how they involve their kids, really trying to understand how they pass those values. What advice would you give someone who's struggling a little bit in that component and help them see that there's kind of a path forward for how they live a little bit more generously?
I think I would say number one is don't talk about it, be about it. If you want to raise generous kids, you got to be generous. If you want to raise kids of faith, you got to be a person of faith. If you want to raise kids that give back and are servants, you got to be a servant yourself because they're going to follow what you do 10x of what you say. So that's number one. Number two, when it does come to serving and different things like that, like I think a lot of people shy away from bringing their kids to do it, to be a part of it. I think that's a big mistake. I think you just adjust and find ways, even if it's not exactly what you want to do. Like one of the things that we discovered now that's super close to our family's heart is love packs, and the ability to go pack boxes for food insecure families. It has become something that we do as a family, and our kids love it. Like, they actually like doing it for at least a while. If we're there for 2 hours, like maybe after an hour, they're like, oh, but
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, we're here for 2 hours, so we keep going. But that first
You're on the
hour,
clock.
they're hyped, right? Like, but they understand what we're doing, and they know that, a lot of times they're going to get a treat after or whatever. So, like, maybe that's a little bit of motivation. But at the end of the day, like, what you're accomplishing is these kids are receiving the gift of generosity, meaning learning how to be generous, learning how to serve, learning how to do things that nothing that they do when we go to Love Packs benefits them besides maybe getting a sweet at the end. Maybe, but like, they are doing something for other people. And when we do, in the past, when we've done Christmas shopping and stuff like that, where we're sponsoring a family or something, that's one of my favorite activities to do with the kids. Why? Because we're in the toy aisle, picking out toys for somebody else. And they're like, oh, I really like this. I'm like, you do? I bet you that 13-year-old boy in this family would like that too. This 10-year-old girl would like this too, or this 6-year-old girl would like this too. So what do you think? You think we should get it for her? And it's like putting it on them to make those decisions. But like knowing and sticking with, like, when we walk into the store, we're buying everything for everybody else. You get nothing. This is for other people. And walking out of that store with baskets full of toys, baskets full of things, and none of it is for our kids. And they are like happy. We're doing something right,
We're
right?
doing great.
But it's like, that's kind of like the mindset. It's like, hey, get them involved. Like, you have to get them involved, even if it's hard. It's harder. Yes, sometimes it's harder. But the more they're involved, the more comfortable they're going to get, and the more it's just going to become a part of who they are. If that's who you are, it's going to become a part of who they are.
Yeah, I love that. I think this has just been like such a great conversation, not only about your own evolution in your career and transitioning into business and ultimately philanthropy, but the evolution of your family and like what that can look like as you're passing values and passing wealth, and what different definitions of wealth can look like. So I couldn't be more grateful for this conversation. I was so looking forward to it because I know not only are you just a wealth of knowledge, but we have so many great nuggets of stories behind the scenes of the foundation. And we do love to end this podcast with a few rapid fire questions. So these are going to come at you hot and fast, and you just answer off the cuff.
Let's do it.
And then that will be that. So really appreciate you having us in your home and sitting down with us and chatting a little bit more.
Fireside chat.
Fireside chat.
Yep.
It's beautiful. It's been amazing. But rapid fire questions. When you hear the phrase "a better way for doing good," what does that mean for you?
A better way for doing good. I think of framework, having a framework to execute on things that you want to do. Because a lot of people want to do good, but they don't have any framework, or they don't have any like structure. So that's what I think of.
Yeah. One value that continues to guide your leadership.
My faith, just plain and simple, because the foundation of my faith influences every single part of my life, every single part of everything I do. So leadership is no different.
This one's an easy one. Either your coffee order, your go-to coffee order, or if you're not a coffee drinker, your daily ritual.
Well, I'm a coffee drinker. Probably my favorite lately has been brown sugar espresso thing, ice, whatever. That's been money as of late. From everybody has it now. I feel like everybody.
I was going to say, are you making it at home?
No. Home is just drip coffee with some oat milk creamer. But for whatever reason, I like oat milk versus regular milk. So that's my thing.
That's amazing. Well, the last question is intentionally easy to end on a high note. But again, thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation, and excited to just share with the world a little bit more about what you're doing these days, post-basketball career, and what family and philanthropy looks like. So thanks again, AT.
Absolutely.